Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. My name is Emma, and I've got Timothy with me today, and we're going to be talking about ways that we can start to make people more insurable through mitigating risk. But before I get to all the questions that I've got for you, can you give everybody an introduction?
Absolutely. Thanks, Emma, so much for having me here. It's exciting because it's a topic I'm very passionate about. My name is Tim Dillahunt. I'm the Chief Underwriting Officer for Personal Lines at the Hanover Insurance Group. And we are, of course, a $2.3 billion PL organization. We're in about 20 states, and we strictly do business with the independent agents. So really wanted to highlight that fact that the independent agents are a big partner with us when it comes to mitigating future losses and helping us to help customers to be more insurable. So as we talk through that, we'll always have that in the back of our minds. So glad to
Great.
be with you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. So I always like to set the stage with something. And so while we were talking about this topic during our introductory call, we started talking about what are the top loss costs for carriers in the both property and auto space. So can you kind of clue everybody in case they don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, when it comes to an ex-cat loss cost basis, it's really non-weather water. That's one of the top ones where we had the leaky pipes and things like that, backups, things like that really cause problems, freezing pipes. And then there's also fire losses. We do have that from time to time as well. That's the second one. And that comes a lot of times with electrical losses. I'll talk about that a little bit more later, but we see those are the two top loss costs for us in the ex-cat basis.
And what do you see then on the auto side as well, kind of moving beyond just property?
Yeah, good question. Because we do focus on property so much, it's such a big part of what we do. But auto is a big part of what we do as well, and we see a lot of distracted driving, and it's the cell phone usage. It's the, even eating and just, turning down your radio and changing your channel on Sirius. It's all
If you're
those
me, handing snacks to the kids in the backseat.
your kids or whatever it is. So distracted driving is a problem. So we have some things that we're really pushing to help people be more focused on the road, and car makers are doing that as well. So
yeah. Well, we'll get more into that as we continue going. So where I want to kind of focus is what I teased in that introduction, and that idea of what are some steps that we can take to make people more insurable?
yeah, I think the big one is just continuing to communicate to customers and help them to understand terms and conditions. And what I mean by that is, so on a cat basis, deductibles come in and how they can review their deductibles on a yearly basis, whether it's their roof that has a problem or some other problem, what is the appropriate deductible for them to have? And that will make them more insurable. A lot of companies are going to higher deductibles. We've often had $500 to $1,000 deductibles for cars and homes, and now we're going to $2,500 deductibles. And even in the higher value space, we're going to $5,000 deductibles. So that's one thing. But the other thing they can do is really regularly look at their own house from a maintenance perspective, checking the roof out, making sure, when you change your batteries for your smoke alarms, making sure you change all the batteries for the carbon monoxide and look around your house for any potential leaks to the roof or potential leaks into the household. Just regular maintenance of the systems, chimney, making sure you get your chimney swept every year. That we see fires that come from that. So there's all kinds of things like that that can really help mitigate some losses for you.
Yes, a couple of days ago, I saw something on TikTok that was somebody talking about needing to water their foundation so that it didn't crack. And then there was a bunch of comments of all these people saying I didn't know that you needed to do that, or X, Y, and Z, and all of these home maintenance things. So to your point, just even being educated on what it means to take care of your home. My husband jokes that if I was left to my own devices, no filters anywhere would ever be changed. But I know that I've got somebody in my corner that takes care of that. But making sure that you're taking care of your home. Are there other ideas or things maybe tied more to the mitigation of water or fire loss, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I think, again, this is where our agents can come in and really help customers to appreciate the need for different tools, IoT devices. We'll talk a little bit more about specifically the IoT devices for homes in particular and other things that they can use. But really, again, it's about education. It's about making sure they even know where their water shutoff valve is, right, Emma? Because we'll go in and inspect a home, and a lot of customers don't even know where to shut the water off if they started to have a leak. And so that's one of the things that customers are educated on from their agents and from our inspection vendors that can help them really mitigate a loss and really minimize the loss as the leaks happen.
So then let's dive into those IoT devices that you just mentioned and how they can help us support that risk mitigation and that ultimate goal of making people more insurable. And maybe do you have an example both like on the property side and the auto side that we could talk through?
Sure, Emma, I can certainly address that. I have a saying, water sensors are the new smoke alarms. Smoke alarms have been in existence for a long time, and homes have been requiring smoke alarms, and they protect people. Well, I think water sensors are the new smoke alarms. I think if people get water sensors in their homes, it can make them more insurable and can protect them. People ultimately don't want to have a water loss, and a water sensor probably only costs tops $150. You can get them for even cheaper than that. And if you strategically place them like under sinks and under the toilets and things like that, these water sensors are what we call IoT devices or Internet of Things devices. And they automatically send you a message to your phone saying, hey, you have a leak in your bathroom. Hey, you have a leak under your sink. And then you can go and check that out. If need be, you can then turn your water valve off and then take care of that leak. I'll give you an example of it. My brother-in-law, he bought $55 water sensors. He put one near his water heater, a year-old water heater, started to have a leak. He was upstairs, and he came down and realized he got the alert on his phone, and there was a leak, and they had to have it fixed. It really saved him from having any kind of loss. And again, ultimately, I think customers don't want to have losses. Insurance carriers don't want to pay for those losses. So it's a simple fix for such a little amount of money. So IoT devices, there's also some that are automatic water shutoff valves. Those are a little more expensive, but they actually sense water pressure changes, and they can sense water from sensors, and they can automatically shut your valve off so that you can be out of the house, and it will take care of that. And that's the beauty of IoT devices, by the way, is they alert your phone. So you could be in Florida and your house can have a problem in Massachusetts, and if it hits the sensor, it'll alert you. And then you can have someone go over there and check it out. And that's where we see the problems. We had a large loss of about $300,000. That was just a simple bathroom leak. But because they were gone for 2 weeks, it really destroyed their house. Had they had a sensor, it really could have saved them a lot of headaches, and it could have saved that loss. So that's on the home side.
I know we talked about this too, but even like things like stepping up beyond the normal smoke alarms and doing things like having sensors that will then call if you're not home, call the authorities. So you get something on your phone, you can decide whether you want to have the fire department come out to your house, depending on what that sensor is. We got some of those after a dishwasher running havoc while we were gone. We came home and our house was full of smoke and a spoon had fallen. No real fire started, thankfully, because it was within the washing machine or within the dishwasher, but it could have been very bad. And maybe if we had left it for longer without realizing what had happened, there could have been other issues. Yes, we had to get the dishwasher fixed, but that was the most that happened. But it could have been really bad if we didn't have, like the timely return and subsequent fix. So I think I might have cut you off a little bit too, talking about auto side. So let's talk real quick before we part ways about what you're seeing on like risk mitigation on the auto side as well.
Yeah, if you didn't mind, I wanted to say one more thing on the home side, if that was okay.
Of course.
Yeah, because the other loss cost was electrical fires. Remember, we talked about that. And so there's an IoT device called the Ting device. And there's other devices, FLIR cameras and things like that, electrical inspections, because we do find that to be a problem. People overload their systems Lithium batteries, by the way, the IBHS, that's an organization that actually that my boss actually sits on the board of, the Insurance Institute for Business, Home, and Safety. It talks about lithium batteries and the challenges people have with that, when even on their cell phones, and how they can heat up and then cause real problems for people. So overloading, circuits and things like that, that can be a problem. Well, that Ting device can actually detect electrical arcing in your system, in your electrical system, and it will alert your phone saying, hey, you've got a problem. We had a person at our company who had that happen with his Christmas lights. The Christmas lights were 25 years old. It was a nice new home, but there was a problem. The company Ting called him and said, hey, you got a problem. And they were able to identify where, and he was able to get rid of the actual Christmas lights. He just got rid of all of them because he's like, I'm not taking any chances. But it potentially saved his life, which is what I like to talk about more than even saving the dollars. And so these devices are really important to me. I think it saves headaches, it could potentially save lives, and it saves dollars. So those are just a couple. Now I can go to the auto. Sorry,
Perfect.
I had to get that in there. On the auto side, automakers are doing a lot with not so much IoT devices, but just features that alert the customer to distracted driving. They call them ADAS features, and you probably are familiar with them. A lot of the cars, if you start to veer off to the left, it'll shake your wheel a little bit, right? And then kind of like, hey, be careful.
Get you back on track.
Going off the road here. Or, we have these devices. Obviously, telematics is something that's a reminder to customers. Hey, are you braking too hard? Are you speeding up too fast? Customers typically don't like that because they feel like it's invasive. But as a parent, I think I can tell you, I have it on my daughter's car, and it helps me to help her to be a safer driver. Don't speed up too much. Don't speed. Don't brake too hard. Those kinds of devices really help. And she has the ADAS features as well. It really helped her because one time she was heading out as a new driver out onto a street, and because of the sensors, it stopped her. The car actually literally stopped her, and she was able to be safe, and the cars drove by. So it's those kind of features that we as an insurance industry, we need to kind of promote a little bit more and give more discounts for it, and really talk to car makers about getting more of those kinds of devices in.
Yeah, one thing I would mention too is, I'm not going to name names, but I've also seen, like these programs that are promoted at a high level for risk mitigation for the insured. And individually, like for a Ring doorbell, there was, lots and lots of promotion of the benefit that came from it. Lo and behold, they gave us literally $1 off per month on our home policy once we went through the process. Those kinds of benefits aren't going to motivate people towards the direction of actually mitigating their risk. Now, we like technology, we like to be connected, we want that peace of mind. So that's not that, the benefit wasn't the reason that we went down that path, but for somebody that might be more technology adverse or not fully understand the benefits that come back to them, those incentives can change behavior pretty powerfully. And so I'd like that you mentioned that as well as a piece of this puzzle as we're working through product development and pricing structures, and keeping that incentive mechanism in mind, I think is really important when we talk about helping people become more insurable.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I go back to the agents. We have a great partnership with our agents. And we love being able to communicate with them, give them materials that they can give to their customers. Because again, if you've had a loss, if you've had a water loss, or if you've had any loss, you know how disruptive that is to your family and to your what you're going to do. And so trying to tell that story as an agent, that's where the agent adds value, the independent agent, because, you get all these companies that maybe don't do business with independent agents or agents, but that's where the agent adds value. And we're so proud of our partnership with the independent agent force, because we really, I like to say, we know who we are, Emma. We don't have an identity crisis. We work with the independent agents to help our customers, uniquely. So really proud of that. And I think we're going to continue to show the marketing themes towards that, especially on the auto side too. I think there are some car makers that actually have windshield sensors. Mm-hmm. So if you look away, it'll alert you as well. So those are the kind of things we want to continue to communicate to make people more insurable.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for the conversation. And I'm going to drive home one last thought. Timothy's new, orange is the new black, is that water sensors are the new fire alarms. So keep that in mind, everybody. Maybe we'll put it on a t-shirt here one of these days. But keep that saying in mind as you move forward with your day. And if you're not already, make sure you follow Timothy on LinkedIn and let either one of us know if you have any questions. But thank you again for joining me, and thank you everybody for joining us, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Leading Change. If you liked what you saw, be sure to subscribe and come back weekly for more expert interviews on digital transformation, change management, and emerging technologies.